Best strategies to ace employment interviews and land your favorite job. Afraid to apply for a job because you don't know what to do and what to prepare? In this video, I will share with you the best strategies for that. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe. This is Finance Boss, an awesome channel for awesome people like you. Before I tell you the strategies, I'll first share you a story. Let's name the guy Christian. Christian is 25 years old, lost his job as a waiter, was forced to move back with his parents, and is now looking for a job. He has this dream of becoming a successful marketer. And with that, he started sending his resume to all kinds of companies with free roles that were remotely connected to marketing. And yup, he has zero knowledge in it, but still has hope that he'll be able to prove his ability by getting a chance. He was starting to lose hope after 2 weeks, but what a night! He received 3 of those companies' emails at the same time. The emails are very similar. They contain a short message and the date and time of the interview. Christian feels full of energy and his adventurous instinct gets back to life. He's so excited that he immediately gets back home to start preparing himself. He rushes to his computer and starts doing heavy research on all the companies. While scrolling through their websites, he finds out that not only are those businesses similar, they are almost identical. The day of the interviews arrives, and they are all one after another, and the 3 businesses were on the same street. Needless to say, Christian is suspicious, but what he realizes that it's probably just a coincidence. 3 hours later, he's driving home. He's got a big smile on his face. 2 of the companies rejected him, but one of them hired him on the spot. At this point, Christian doesn't really care about what went wrong in the other 2 interviews since he got the job. So, if you're looking for a job but afraid of the things that you need to do in the interview, then you should continue watching this video. We're not gonna talk about how to write a resume. There are tons of videos on that. Today, you'll learn some less known secrets on the subject, all while keeping the example of Christian. The first interview. Let's assume that every business was identical, similar place, style, website, etc. And every interviewer was identical when it came to aspects that would influence their willingness to hire Christian. So, the environment was the same across all interviews. At this point, the only one that had full control over the outcome of the interview was Christian. What did he do in the first 2 interviews? Let's examine the first one. Christian enters the room and sits on the chair. He looks at the interviewer, whose name is Uzi, and he says hi. Then, Christian realizes that he forgot to shake the interviewer's hand. He immediately starts worrying and playing movies in his head about the consequences of his small mistake. Now, he feels very uncomfortable. All of his initial confidence has been stripped away by this not-so-significant thing. Do those little mistakes really matter? Or is Christian just worrying too much? Well, it depends on the interviewer. However, one thing is certain, you can't lose all your confidence because of a small mistake. We're all humans, and your interviewer's a human too. He or she should not intimidate you, so don't worry too much about those little things. So lesson number 1 is to be confident and believe that you can bring value to their business. Don't lose your cool just because you made a small mistake. Keep your mind sharp and be a professional, mature person. You might think that this is obvious, but this is the most common mistake that people make. They just don't have the confidence. How do you gain it? Here are 3 tips. Number 1, know their business. Do heavy research on who they are, what they stand for, and what their style is. Number 2, prepare yourself in advance and dress in a way that makes you feel extremely good. Number 3, move around before the interview. Walk, jumping jacks, or push-ups work fine. The second interview. In the second interview, Christian enters the room just like before, but remembers to introduce himself with a firm handshake. This boosts his confidence. It also leaves a better impression on the interviewer. He sits down and starts answering questions. All of his answers are okay, but kind of vague and distracted. Here's an example. Interviewer: do you have any job experience related to this position, Christian? Christian: well, no, not really, but I'm willing to learn. Do you see how that's not enough? Instead of answering like that, he could have used this as an advantage and craft a short yet extremely effective answer, said with a firm tone. Here's what he should have answered instead. Well, I don't have any job experience closely related to this position, but I used to work as a bartender. There, I developed my communication and people skills. Boom! See how this, even if simple, is much more effective than just a blind no answer? It takes the interviewer from focusing on the negative to focus on the positive. This skill is called persuasion, and if you'd like to know more about it, put in the comments below and we'll create a video on it. The third interview. The third interview was very similar to the one before, but this time, Christian answered the questions properly. But there's a thing that ultimately got him the job. That thing is the answer to this simple request. Tell me about yourself. If answered correctly, this will make the difference between being employed and being sent home. Here's what you should never do. Your interviewer tells you to talk about yourself, and you say, well, my name is Christian, I live in this city, I'm 25 years old, I live with my parents because I unfortunately lost my job, I used to be a bartender, and I did a really great job. I was raised in this city, and I'm very happy to be here. This is the worst mistake that you can make in an interview. This is your opportunity to sell yourself, and you can't mess that up. You have to make your introduction less about you and more about what your future boss could get from you. What's in it for them? Here's an example of what you could say. Well, my name is Christian. I was born and raised in this city and I still live here. I'm a hardworking man and I proved that in my last job. I worked as a bartender and I'm grateful that I learned skills like teamwork, communication, and most importantly, relationships with customers. I learned how to keep the reputation of a company at the top. And now, I'm looking forward to going the next level. And I'd love to do that with you. Boom! Huge difference. This is just an example. You have to craft your own introduction. Remember to keep it short, without any fancy words and straight to the point. What's in it for them? I've got a bonus for you. What if your interviewer asks you this question? What are your weaknesses? What should you answer? Well, that's not complicated. First of all, don't even think about saying I don't know or I don't have any weaknesses. You'll look like you're not self-aware. You do have weaknesses, but how can you answer this without destroying your chance of being hired? The key here is not to make the weakness about your personality. So, it shouldn't be something like, I'm very egotistical or I have anger issues. Also, stuff like, I'm too creative or I work too much don't work either. You're not fooling anyone. Instead, you should make it about your skills. Why? Because your personality is hard to fix, while a little weakness related to your skills is easily fixable. Here are some examples of what Christian could say. My biggest weakness is that I lack the ability to communicate with angry clients. See how that is easily fixable? Summary and conclusion. Here's a quick summary of what you learned today. Number 1. Strongly believe that you can bring value to the company you're interviewing for. Number 2. Don't lose your confidence or your chances of getting hired will drop. Keep confidence 100% by doing your homework, do heavy research on the industry and business, prepare yourself in advance, and put on an awesome outfit that will make you feel good and keep yourself moving. Number 3. Introduce yourself with a firm handshake if handshake is required by the situation. Number 4. Don't answer questions vaguely. Go into details and focus on what's in it for the company. Turn your negatives into positives and remember to stay 100% focused on the conversation and body language of the person in front of you. Number 5. Be realistic and don't try to fool or lie to the employer. And that's it. You'll be able to get that job as soon as possible. You won't need to let them think and put you as their second option. So how was it? Leave a comment if you learned something new today and also subscribe to the channel. This is Finance Boss. Thanks for watching and have a good day.